Hello and welcome. My name is Dana. I invite you to pick up a pencil, a pen, or a stylus and draw along with me today, or just have me on in the background while you're doing whatever. I am going to be doing a chill art hangout chat today. I'm going to be talking about the illustration you see on screen and also discussing a little bit about the fear of starting. Specifically, the fear of starting a YouTube channel, since that's quite relevant to me right now, given that this is my first YouTube video. So I'm going to start by talking about what you see on screen. I did a commission for one of my static members in Final Fantasy XIV recently, and the character is Izzy, who is an Elezen. And I started with the pencil sketch, which you see on the left. And then I took the pencil sketch into Clip Studio Paint, where I did a digital illustration over the top. So I did the line art using a real G pen brush, which is just one of the default brushes in Clip Studio. And the flat colouring, I used a hard round brush and some spatter effect brushes and the gradient effect tool. I will mention if I see anything in the time lapse that's different from those brushes, but we'll see. Off the top of my head though, it was those ones. I like to use both traditional and digital. Sometimes I mix them, like in this case. Sometimes I just do purely traditional, sometimes purely digital. And you'll probably end up seeing a bit of both on this channel. I'm trying to figure out my creative voice, which I'm going to discuss in an upcoming video. I have so many ideas for videos and discussions. I can't wait to make them all. I'm gonna make some of these videos quite casual art chats because I used to do Twitch streaming a few years ago and I loved it on there. I loved talking to people. I loved hanging out while we were all drawing, and it just felt like a hanging out with friends kind of atmosphere. But I can't do that anymore due to my internet speed, so with starting YouTube I want to bring that element that I loved into this. So I'm hoping that eventually I can talk to people in the comments, we can have a bit of a back and forth. It's not going to be quite the same as live streaming, but hopefully it can end up developing into something even better. We shall see. So today, I am also going to talk about the fear of starting. There are many different fears and issues that artists have, often which hold us back from doing things, and one of which is the fear of starting. It could be the fear of starting a YouTube channel, the fear of starting any social media, the fear of posting, and the fear of sharing I think also goes into this as well. But it can also go down into the fear of starting art pieces, starting sketches, starting sketchbooks. It's all boils down to this fear of starting. So I tried to think of specifically the things that I'm struggling with regarding the fear of starting. And I will say that I am not a mental health professional. I'm just discussing the things that I go through, and I'm discussing them with you like friends chatting. So one of the things that comes up in my thoughts when I'm worrying about starting something is the fear of being not good enough or not skilled enough. And this is a worry that a lot of artists have, and I'm sure that some of you feel too. Even if it's not for art, it might be for something else. And it's a feeling that is very prevalent among artists, and it's also really, really difficult to deal with, because it doesn't matter how much people you love or your friends tell you otherwise, your brain still gets on you about not being good enough, not being skilled enough. But the way that I've come to realize is that there's no perfect. And there's the common phrase of practice makes perfect, but in reality, it's more like practice makes improvement. There is no perfect. And it's very, very difficult to take that concept and then feel it inside you. And it takes a long time and a lot of effort and finding out what works well for you. For me, figuring out the things that make me feel bad or worried or whatever, through journaling, through drawing even, has really, really helped me figure out where I'm having negative thought patterns and how I can address them, basically. So in regards to not feeling good and skilled enough, I've come to realize that the best thing that you can do, really, is to start. And it's really, really funny because you're worried about starting because you don't feel good enough. But the only thing that will make you feel better is starting. And it's kind of this like conundrum where you don't really know what to do about that. And it's something that you do have to really just take a leap on. And that's what I'm doing today. And that's why I'm here. And hopefully I will only get better and better by putting things out there. I'm sure that I'll look back on this video in 2 years, 5 years, and see a plethora of ways I've grown since now. But I'll only have made that growth by doing the video that I'm doing today. And I've come to the realization that I would rather put myself out there and try and fail and learn and try and fail and learn and improve and look back on everything I've done than be worried about it forever. And it's something that, again, you have to figure out for yourself in a way. The other thing that comes into the fear of starting for me is worrying that I'm not interesting enough, which, although it sounds similar to feeling not skilled enough, feeling not interesting enough is more due to your core. So feeling good or skilled enough is something that you can work on, right? But not feeling interesting enough, that's you. And sure, there's going to be people online, and I'll come across them too. You'll come across them everywhere, who are just trolls or just don't like you or whatever. That's one thing, and that's something that you can handle, right? Or you might not be able to handle easily, but you find ways to handle the more you deal with it. But the fear of not feeling interesting enough, it goes beyond that. It's the fear that by putting yourself and your art and your creative voice, your genuine creative voice out there, you worry about other people feeling like what you're doing isn't good or whatever, isn't interesting enough. And if you're wanting to pursue your creative dreams, especially as a career, even, this fear of not being interesting enough, especially in such a world of popular artists just everywhere, billions of people posting on Instagram and TikTok. There's so much art out there. How can you fit in? That worry seeps in when you're wanting to start. But everyone is unique. Everyone has unique interests, but also unique experiences as well. What one artist goes through in life, another artist will have no idea of those struggles, of those joys, and you can then express those struggles or those joys, whichever one you feel like expressing, through your art, and coupling that with your art interests as well, you end up coming up with a very, very unique creative voice. And it's not just about your art style either. I separate the word style and creative voice because art styles, everyone has like a sort of fingerprint to their art, right? Where you can sort of see that it's this person doing this art, even if they have a few different quote-unquote styles. You can still tell it's them. There's a fingerprint to what people make. Your creative voice goes beyond just what people think of as an art style, but because it also expresses your interests, essentially. Like if you're interested in sci-fi and expressing the darkest parts of humanity in a really real and raw way, compared to someone who might portray the light in the world through fantasy or something like that. That also ties into creative voice alongside their artistic style. And again, that's something that or in my case, it's something that I've come to realize over time, is that one, I'm not going to be interesting to everyone, but I am going to be interesting enough to some people because I have a unique voice, I have unique interests, just like you do, just like every other person on the planet. We'll have similarities between some of us, but the experiences we have been through as an individual are individual to us. So the third point that I want to bring up is the fear of judgment, which ties into the first 2 points. The fear of being judged when you put yourself out there is again another really common thing for artists. The fear that you're going to receive hateful comments, or that you're going to, in some cases, receive nothing at all, that you're just going to be ignored. You put so much of your energy, and in some cases almost like your emotion, your soul, your mind, however you want to put it, into what you make, that when you put it out there, it really, you're putting almost a part of yourself out there sometimes when you're putting things you create online. And you really have to find a way to be resilient to the things that can happen online. Some people deal with hateful comments better than other people. For some people it is worrying about the hateful comments, for other people it's the worrying about being ignored, and they might want to pursue this as a career and they worry that no one's going to be interested and their art's going to be judged as worthless and they're not going to end up gaining a viewer base. So, and then you end up getting that little voice in your head like, why even try? And again, it's something that you have to address. You figure out where those thoughts are coming from in your head. and how you as an individual can deal with them. It might be talking to friends, it might be having a catchphrase. I know there's an artist, Cooper, Jaw Cooper, and she recently posted on her stories this thing that she has on her desk. She has a post-it note which says "Do not engage" on it, and I love that. I love that idea that you have that reminder there that these hateful things online don't deserve your energy. Your energy can be put in more useful places. Yeah, you may get stung or whatever when you see those comments, especially for the first few times, and you build a resilience over time. But choosing where you put your energy can be massive. And yeah, just do not engage. The fourth thing that I briefly want to bring up as well is the fear of failure. And the fear of failure is a big one for me, and it ties into perfectionism. Especially if you've dealt with difficult art teachers, as some of us have experienced. You might have had your art ripped up in school, you might have had family or friends that weren't supportive, you might have been in an environment where perfection was pushed onto you constantly, or you might not have done, but when you fear failure, it really, really holds you back, because failure is the key to improving. You hear everywhere about how much you have to draw or create, whatever your creative passion is, how much you have to create to improve. And a massive part of that is failing and learning from those failures. It's that saying that many of us hear, that there's 1,000 or 10,000 bad drawings in you and you have to get them out. Failing is the way to get better. And that is also something that I've had to slowly and patiently and gently over time work on. And by working on the things I've mentioned today, I've ended up getting to the point where I am now posting online. So let me know how you feel about fear of starting, which points are relevant for you, which ones might not be, or if there's anything that you might struggle with personally that I didn't bring up, and also how you deal with those things as well. But thank you for hanging out with me today. If you drew, then I hope you had a fun time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.